in working with all of this situation that we find ourselves in, how to be creative and how to be responsive and intelligent and really happy isn't quite the right word, but it really, maybe for lack of a better word, I'll use how to live one's life happily, at least in a way that's not anguished and self-absorbed. And there are three main principles in the Buddhist teachings. Meditation practice, which is what we were just doing, which is really the practice of coming present for one's life. Meditation practice is how to live, ultimately. It's practicing how to become a fuller, more present and freer human being, more intelligent, less trammeled by the myths and the habits of thought that we have developed and carry around with us, which are really so punishing. We've learned them from way, way back, all the way back into our childhood, stories about ourselves and the world around us that we repeat to ourselves again and again, living out very painful patterns. And really what meditation practice is about is beginning to free oneself from that and to see the world and oneself in a much freer, open, non-judgmental, more accurate way, and in a way that one can be more responsive. And meditation practice is the practice on the cushion and off. They call it, ironically, on the cushion is what they call, that's meditation practice. And then they talk about post-meditation practice, which means what you do when you get off the cushion. And actually, that's more profound than what you do on the cushion. If you can remember to practice in your daily life, that's so hard. It's so hard to remember to come back. But it's the most powerful part of it. The second aspect is of how we work with all this is study. That's what we're doing here with this conversation tonight. We're studying, we're examining our lives in the light of some teachings that have come down over the centuries in this tradition from Shakyamuni Buddha 2,500 years ago, although there were lots of Buddhas before him, and there were lots of Buddhas after him too, enlightened people. And these teachings help us to deal with our lives. Otherwise, we're caught in confusion and repetitive mistakes. And these teachings that come to us have two main areas, you might say, two main foci. One is very simple. It's what's wrong, the mistakes that we're making and how we're making them, and how we act them out, so that we study this so we can begin to identify the errors that we're making in our lives and in our minds. The other side of that coin, the flip side, is what's right. And these teachings describe the world as it can be seen, free from error. The errors lead us into suffering and confusion, and when we see those errors and free ourselves from them, then we begin to see the world, as they say, as it truly is. The expression in Sanskrit is ta-ta-ta, which means as it is, sometimes translated as suchness. That the world is exactly what it is in any given moment, stripped of labels. You can put labels on it, but it doesn't touch it. This world is so colorful and vivid and alive as it arises in the present moment. These two aspects, they say that when you practice, what you get rid of is confusion and emotional turmoil when you do meditation practice. Now, emotional turmoil has two aspects too. There's a story and there's an energy to any emotion. So, for instance, somebody insults you and you're angry, you're hurt, and you tell yourself a story. That's so and so. They shouldn't have said that. They don't know me. They're doing it because they actually want to get something from this other person, and they're just attacking me and using me. And you got a whole story going on here, right? Right? It's like a movie script, and it's lit, that story, by a huge energy, the energy of hatred, the energy of wanting to destroy your enemy, to push them out of your life and out of your world. So emotions have these two sides. One is the story, and the other is the energy that is carried in that story. Most often, the story comes first. Somebody does something to you that you don't like, and you tell yourself a story about it, and then you feel angry. Sometimes, though, the energy comes first. So, for instance, you're driving your car, and some lunatic pulls out right in front of you and scares the hell out of you. And then you say, that's so-and-so, they don't know how to drive. If I could get hold of them, I'd tell them a thing or two. And then you tell a story about it. But they always come together, either before or after, the energy and the story. And that's what makes up emotions. Sometimes the emotions are pleasant. I love that person because they are so beautiful, handsome, whatever it might be, so kind, so smart, and I feel such affection and love, and I'm, attracted, and then you've got the emotion of attraction pulling together, and the story that goes with it. So, what meditation does is, and they say, this is the standard line, meditation frees us from the emotions. That doesn't mean you don't feel the energy of love, feel the power of destruction when it's necessary. And there are times when destruction is necessary, when it's necessary to do, something that's destructive. But you don't get caught up in this very egotistical, self-centered story with meditation. And it frees you from that whole thing of me and mine. Study produces gentleness, they say, because when you begin to study it, you begin to understand how one is caught in error, in mistakes, and what the possibilities are. And you begin to recognize when the teachings describe how the world can be right, the real world. They talk about things like, perhaps you've heard the term shunyata, or emptiness, is one of the descriptors for reality. In fact, the two main descriptors in Tantric Buddhism for reality are that everything, as it arises in this present moment, is empty of any true existence. Nothing exists in its own right. Everything is a constant flowing, and you can't find the essence of it. And at the same time, that everything is a constant flexing and flowing in the present moment, it's very, very vivid. They call that the union of emptiness, the emptiness of any true existence, and luminosity. That this world is luminous. It's beautifully luminous. And when we begin to tap into that real world, that's where real creativity lies. Then you become a poet. Then you become an artist. Then you become a singer, of truth. And a lot of great teachers are artists and have been artists. And art is a big part of the Buddhist Dharmic path. Because really, the more one practices and the more one tunes into this real world, everything can become art. Your speech can become art. Your gestures can become art. The way you say hello to a friend can become art if it's done with awareness and grace and appreciation. So these two principles, actually three: the meditation practice, learning how to rest one's mind in the present moment; study, which shows you what the possibilities are, how to get what the problem is and what the solution is, as it were. And then the third principle is going into action. And action means to involve yourself with people in the present moment. And the best kind of involvement is to be of help. to be kind. The Dalai Lama says, he says, please be kind, and you can always be kind. He said, there's a tagline I've seen on somebody's email to that effect from the Dalai Lama. So to involve yourself in action, because when we involve ourselves in action, we forget ourselves. We lose that self-consciousness. And that's a wonderful thing to do. And kindness is often so hard to do, especially when one's suffering. But it opens your heart and helps you fall in love with the world and become an artist. So I think that's all I have to say tonight. There are lots of ways of studying, and we're thinking about doing a class. This talk tonight was based on a book that I'm sort of using as a structure for these talks. It's called The Profound Treasury of the Ocean of Dharma. And it's by Chogyam Trungpa, who was a Tibetan Lama. And it's the first volume, first of 3. And every year that he was here in this country, which he was here from 1970, he arrived and he died in 1987. Every year but one, I think. He took usually 100 to 150 of his students off for 3 months. And during those 3 months, there would be periods of study and periods of practice. In the periods of practice, there was just practice. You practice all day, together in group sitting and walking practice with breaks for meals and work periods, and it's not inhumane. And then there would be periods of study when there would be classes, and he was lecturing. And other people, he'd have his senior students teach as well. And his lectures were all collected into this book called The Profound Treasury of the Ocean of Dharma. It's 13 years of those teachings that have been digested by one of his students, a woman named Judy Leaf. Did a great job. So it helps to sit down and study together, read together, and work through these ideas together. It really helps to get to the point where you're a teacher. Then you really start to learn something. That's funny, but it's really true. I feel like there's something I'm leaving out here. I know. Just want to mention that we have a sister organization called the Westchester Buddhist Center. They're located in Irvington, Westchester, north of us. And every year, the Westchester Buddhist Center has a 1-week retreat. And this year it's going to be from February 16th through 23rd at the Garrison Institute. You can find out about it, if you wish, on the westchesterbuddhistcenter.org website. And it's going to be what we call a weekton. You will start sitting at 7 in the morning, and you will go to bed we finish the day at usually about 8:45 at night. And there's about a 2-hour break for lunch, and there are breaks from breakfast and dinner, and there are alternate periods of sitting and walking. There'll be a period of yoga for those who want it. There'll be a talk every day. There'll be some readings. And the first part of it will be in silence, and then the silence is relaxed. And it's very interesting not to talk and be in a group of people. And it's just a terrific way to deepen your practice, your meditation practice. And I'll be there. Alan's coming. Is that right? And I don't know if anybody else in this room is coming. But then there are a bunch of people from Irvington coming. And you're welcome. And if you want to know more about it, you can talk to me or Alan. So any comments or questions before we end? I would like to, yeah. It's just a matter of if we have enough people and the space to have it in. We could do it in my apartment, for that matter. But yeah, would you be interested? Sounds like it. If you're interested, let me know. It's really a matter of having enough people to do it. really bear down on the concepts in these teachings. I mean, Buddhism is beautiful and it's huge. You know, intellectually, it's just gorgeous. I mean, I studied philosophy in college, and nothing I studied touches, you know, the elegance and sophistication of some of the Buddhist thought, especially, well, a lot of it. Yeah.
Why don't we have the class here?
Because we're doing this on Monday nights. I mean, we could talk about that, but then we would have to either have another night or switch this night into a class. And we've got lots of people dropping in for the first time here.
But if we had a class, an ongoing class, then people might come every Monday night. The class would be once a week?
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about it. All right.
John? Hey, so thank you for the talk tonight. What I got out of it more than anything was this action element. It was a great reminder for me. I'm an introvert by nature, and so I tend to keep to myself, but my job brings me into an environment where I'm dealing with a lot of people, and a lot of them in the midst of many glaciers. I work at an Apple store at the Genius Bar, so so I have to handle a lot of crazy situations, but it's really great for me because I do let go of my storylines and my problems, and I get to focus on other people and help them. And sometimes the appreciation I get from them is really moving.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little different when you get paid for it. And I have done volunteer work, and it just kind of lit this little fire in me, what you said. Especially now in the world, it's easy to focus on like all the things that are threatening and scary, and how people are trying to hurt people and put them down. And it would be a great kind of practice to be able to actually be a part of the action that you want to see in the world and help someone. So thanks.
Actually, I went up to Hunter College and the School of Social Work there, and I got a list of organizations where you can volunteer to be of help. And because I'm interested in that, and if anybody wants it, I'll be happy to share it. You know, just give me your email address and I'll send you the link. They sent me a link to a page that they put out where just lots of volunteer organizations. I mean, boy, are we in the middle of a kettle of need? You know, New York City and environs. Wow. Yep. Well, let's see. If you would like to be on our email list, please give us your email. You can always unsubscribe. And please, if you can, make a contribution. We pay rent to Nalanda Bodhi, which is the organization that rents that owns this space, as it were. And that's it. So, thank you all. And let's bow out.
John, did you teach in there?
You know, I don't think there's a lot of new people. I think I'm going to let it go this time.